Michael Malone, nothing if not honest in that press conference. Now back to CP3. How great was he? This is his third playoff game with 15 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. Guys, only Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson have had only one of those kind of games, and that was back 1991. So, Nick, what is the biggest takeaway from Game 2? CP3's dominance or the Nuggets coach Michael Malone ripping his own team?
Oh, I think it's Chris Paul. And listen, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And earlier this week on this show, in my less than most professional moment, I said, you know what, producers? Put on the bottom line. Brandon's been right about everything in the playoffs because I'm sick of hearing about it. Well, I'm going to do it to myself. Put on the bottom line. Nick thinks Chris Paul's the MVP, not Jokic, because you're going to be hearing a lot about that today. Because did Michael Malone sound like he has the MVP on his team? Did Michael Malone sound like, guys, everything's fine. We're going back home. We got not only the best player in the series, we got the best player in the league on our team. He's about to get a shiny, big trophy that proves it. No, Michael Malone sounded worried and panicked because the best player in this series, the most valuable player in this series, the guy who knows how to win the most in this series, is the 6'0" point guard currently residing in the greater Phoenix area. Jenna, you showed that amazing stat about what Chris Paul did last night, about how it's been done 5 times in 35 years, 3 of which by Chris Paul. One of which, did you notice, when he was on the New Orleans Hornets, a team that no longer exists? He did it 13 years ago. Well, I've got another one for you. Guys to have at least 25 assists and 1 or fewer turnovers in consecutive playoff games. It's been done 3 times in the last 35 years. By Chris Paul again, and by Chris Paul again. He's the only guy to do it, and he's done it 3 separate times for different teams. Wilds, I understand that the story is going to be, for most people, about Michael Malone napalming his own team on the eve of his guy getting the MVP award actually presented to him. But to me, the story is the guy who should have gotten the MVP award presented to him last night, controlled every facet of that game for a Suns team that has now won 5 in a row. And in all 5 of those games, they've been up by 15 plus. In a few of them, they've been up by damn near 30. They have been dominating the last 10 days of these NBA playoffs.
See, I don't think Michael Malone just attacked his own team. I think he attacked first things first, because he knows that we are a very hot show in Denver. One of the hottest shows in Denver. There's a weather newscast that's a little hotter than us, but we are right there and we are climbing the charts fast. And here's the thing, because I think Denver's players think exactly like how we think. It's like, we got the MVP, but our second best player was just last time we saw him on the floor, he was on crutches shooting one-legged threes in warm-ups. And Michael Porter Jr. kind of looks a little bit hurt. He only had 11 points. We don't have what it takes. Just how the Lakers didn't have what it takes, and they had LeBron. But once your second star goes down, you probably don't have what it takes. So, we'll play with a little, we'll show up here, but this is not our year. And Michael Malone, Brandon, tried to squash that. He tried to start a new narrative that it's not about the personnel, it's just about effort. I don't personally believe it. When I was watching that game, I certainly, the Suns had more energy and the crowd was going nuts, but I didn't get the vibe that, they gave up. So Mike Malone sort of, not only sort of setting a fire, but, just throwing gas on a fire that he's creating. He's trying to start this narrative that the team is not trying to try to infuse belief in them. I still don't think they have the personnel. I think the Suns are going to roll them.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as them not having the personnel. Think about the story all year. The story all year was about Joker and how awesome he was and how efficient he was and how he's going to be the MVP. Well, hell, he's now the MVP. The story was never about them being a great team and that they were going to possibly be the team to come out the West. I don't think anybody picked the Nuggets to come out the West. So, we're seeing exactly what we thought we would see. They're playing against a really good team whose story all year been They're the most balanced team. You heard Jenna say that. They're the most complete team in the playoffs. Well, that's something I said. Not everybody's saying that, but they are the most complete team. They are the most balanced team. So we're seeing it play out the way it should play out. But here's the deal, though, Wilds. As a player, as a coach, when you walk in that locker room or you're standing on the sideline, you know if guys are bringing it or not. You can look in the guy's eyes and see if they do. You can go in the locker room before the game, Nick, and see how a dude is getting dressed. Is he getting dressed, putting on his shoes and his pants slow? Is he still wiping sleep out of his eyes? Is he bouncing around? Is he still sticking to his normal routine? Oh, wow. What is Joker doing? Why isn't Joker in the cold tub right now? He's usually in the cold tub right now, bouncing with music. So So Coach Malone is talking to a handful of guys. He's not talking to everybody, but he's definitely talking to a couple guys in that locker room that he saw something in that just didn't stick to the routine and that didn't bring it last night.
Well, so 2 quick points here. One is, I do think, Brandon, one of the reasons, you're right, nobody was picking Denver, but I think it was because people, no matter what happens in the regular season, when the playoffs roll around, you start asking about individual players. And you're like, okay, do I really think this team is going to knock out LeBron? Do I really think this team is going to knock out Kawhi, right? Well, now LeBron's gone and Kawhi's on the other side of the bracket. So if Joker actually is the MVP, then he absolutely, with or without Jamal Murray, should be able to get his team past the Suns, should be able to get his team, and then we'll see if in the next round, if you're playing Kawhi and Kawhi takes over, so be it. But if you're up against Utah, it should be, you know what? We've got the guy. And Jamal Murray is probably actually, when he comes back, their third best player because Michael Porter Jr. will have supplanted him. But the thing about Joker, Brandon, is this. Joker isn't being outplayed by DeAndre Ayton, but it's way too close for Denver to have a chance. Ayton's giving you 18 and 10 on 60%. Joker's giving you 23 and 11 on 48%. Now, Joker obviously has added 9 total assists, so 4.5 assists, which is something Ayton doesn't do. But they need those to be 10-7 rounds, Joker versus Ayton, if they're going to have any chance. And Ayton instead, it's like 10-9 Joker, and that's not going to be enough for them.
Yeah, all right. But look, the bigger takeaway was CP3, like you said earlier. You should be mad at CP3, Nick. Back at, the end of April, we talked about who's the MVP, and you came out of left field and you said, CP3 is the guy. CP3 is the guy. Wild stood up and said, you know what? I think he is the guy. But what he needs is LeBron James. What he needs is everybody in the banana boat to go out there, go on this PR run and say, CP3 is the guy. All right, we saw that a little bit. But then what happened with CP3? The next couple games, they get ran off the court. He doesn't look great.
Game.
He didn't follow up that whole momentum, that whole movement. He didn't follow up with 17 points, 15 assists, and zero turnovers. He didn't do that. So you need to be mad at CP3,
he was saving it.
He let you down.
He was saving it for this moment.